Ever since I got my Samsung Galaxy S5 in 2016, I've been using it ever since. That being said, is the Galaxy S5 still worth it? The cool thing about phones is the older they get, the cheaper they get. And the Galaxy S5 ranges between $89 used or refurbished to $150 brand new. Meanwhile, the inferior iPhone 6 is more expensive. The question is, how does it hold up compared to other phones, and would I still recommend it? For this review, there will be some similarities to my first phone review, which was the Alcatel One Touch Fierce 2 in formatting, but I will look to focus on 4 areas: design of the phone, performance, camera quality, and just quirks that you wouldn't really wish to be on a smartphone, but end up being so useful. For those time travelers in the comments section commenting, "This is so outdated in 2031, cell phones will probably have toilets by then, so of course anything released now will be obsolete." But most of you don't have the time-traveling DeLorean, so without further ado, let's take a look at the Galaxy S5 and see if it's still worth getting. I'm gonna be blunt here, the design isn't very pretty on the Samsung Galaxy S5. It has this golf ball effect, and after using it for a year or two, the paint on the sides will chip off. It comes in a variety of colors, but overall the design is just kinda lame. Front is as standard as it gets, but honestly the design of the phone is not something I really care about. For those wanting a cool looking phone, you're probably going to want to get a later Samsung phone or splurge and get an iPhone. But the way I see it, it's what's on the inside that counts. Design doesn't affect me, but it's really up to you if you care about how the phone looks. You can always put a case on if that's a problem. But how does the phone perform? The Samsung Galaxy S5 has 2 GB of RAM and 16 to 32 GB of storage. My version runs Android 5.0 Lollipop, but I've seen models that run Android 6.0 Marshmallow. 99% of the time, it's been smooth sailing. Basic tasks like email, surfing the web, watching videos, listening to music, and reading Trump's tweets work flawlessly. Texting works fine, but calling is a mixed bag. The call quality is excellent, but if you use it on speakerphone, the person you're calling will barely be able to hear you. It's pretty bad. Now I know what you're thinking, who calls anyone anymore? I do. But what is the Galaxy S5 essentially? Stripped down to the bare necessities, it's a phone. Just a really fancy phone. I'm sure Alexander Graham Bell didn't expect his invention to be used to watch Funny Dance or catch Pokemon. But this is a smartphone, so I will go into more detail. All the apps I've used, from Instagram to Angry Birds to Pokemon Go, when that was a thing, to Super Mario Run, they all work like a charm. All on a beautiful Super AMOLED HD screen. The only time I face slowdown is if I have a lot of apps open, or it rarely happens when I'm using Snapchat. By rarely, I mean probably once or twice a month. You should have no problem with the general performance of the phone. Battery life is decent with a 2800 mAh battery, which can last a day with moderate use, but with heavy use you'll probably have to charge it to 100% and then 50 later on. And it can easily be replaced just by taking off the back of the phone. Where things get a bit iffy is with the internal storage. You're likely to pick up a 16 GB model of the phone, and 4.5 GB are taken right out of the box. Not to mention, a lot of models will have bloatware, so you'll probably only have 9 to 10 GB of storage out of the box. For pictures and videos, this isn't much of an issue because this phone has micro SD card compatibility. I always found that strange that companies are ditching something as basic as support for a micro SD card. It's pretty absurd. And on that topic, there is a headphone jack. So yeah, if those 2 features, not having them, are a deal breaker for you, you're going to be happy here because both of them are present. You can set pictures and videos to the micro SD card, but you cannot for apps. This can be a problem if you want to install a lot of apps, because you will quickly run out of space. A micro SD card, preferably a 64 GB or higher one, is essential if you are considering getting an S5. If you are a mobile gamer, do not get this phone because you probably won't have space for all your games, even at 32 GB. But if you only want a few social media apps and a few games here and there, you can get by, assuming that you have that micro SD card. After all, I have a Switch. I'd rather play Super Mario Odyssey on the go than Super Mario Run. But having my last phone being Alcatel One Touch Fierce 2 with only 1.8 GB of internal storage, even 8 GB would have been ideal for me. But if I ever get a new phone, I'm gonna get one with at least 64 GB of internal memory with micro SD card support. By far the most important factor for me when getting a phone is the camera quality. The main reason why I was dying to upgrade my phone when I had the One Touch Fierce 2 was because the camera quality, well, to put it lightly, it was pretty abysmal. But I'm so happy to say the camera quality is still excellent here even after 4 years. The rear camera is 16 megapixels, and the front is a decent 2 megapixels. If you're into taking selfies, it can take a pretty good selfie. But man, that rear camera is still fantastic. In ideal lighting conditions, the photos look nearly professional. They're that good. They're crisp, they're colorful, and overall they look beautiful. Low light is a different story. It's not horrible, but not excellent either. It's pretty decent. Pretty good in average lighting, but not too great in darker settings. But compared to other phones around the $89 to $150 price range, it beats the competition. Video quality is no exception. It can shoot up to 4K and even has the capability to record 60 frames per second. There is an option for slow motion, but it lowers the quality greatly. Unless you're trying to get pictures in a dark room or at night, this is an ideal camera to have, especially at this price range. You can get some great shots and videos. My entire Mykonos slideshow was taken on the Galaxy S5, so if you want to see more pictures and videos from this phone, I will definitely link that in the description. When it comes to my preference of Android phones over iPhones, I always say flexibility and options. I was asked the other day, what is it exactly that you use on your Android phone that isn't on the iPhone? In the Galaxy S5's case, there are many quirks and features that this phone has that are as excellent as getting a Mickey Mouse toaster for Christmas. Didn't know you needed them until you get it. But let me just list some of the features this phone has. I'm sure most phones have a power saving mode, but what's cool about the Galaxy S5 is that you can apply a grayscale to save even more power. Thought that was it? Then there's ultra power saving mode, which converts your phone into a touchscreen dumb phone. This is ideal when your phone's about to die, or in a case of an emergency like a hurricane. This is ideal. I was able to save my phone at 1% of battery throughout the whole night during Hurricane Irma. This is a feature all phones should have. Another convenient feature that the S5 has is an IR blaster, which turns your phone into a TV remote, and it can be configured to have multiple TVs too. Again, another quirk this phone has, but it was sadly removed from the succeeding models of the S. Now here's something that was a surprise to some. This phone, released in 2014, has IP67 water and dust resistance. Now you will need to close that flap that protects the charging port to take advantage of it, but this was one of the first flagship smartphones to have this feature. And it works too. I was on a boat the other day, had my phone in my pocket, and after going over a pretty big wave, I got soaked. But the Galaxy S5 remained unharmed. This doesn't mean, let's go swimming with the phone. It just means when those accidents do happen, like jumping in a pool with your phone, or leaving your phone in the washing machine, you should be okay. And as I said earlier, all the customization Android offers here, it's there. You can change the UI, add widgets, download emulators. Sky's the limit because essentially it's a micro PC. The phone is packed with quirks and features and I love it. Rather than just coming up with a rating for the phone, I have decided to rate each of the 4 categories and average it out. We have a 5 out of 10 for appearance of the phone, 6.5 out of 10 for performance, 8 out of 10 for the camera, and 10 out of 10 for the quirks and customization. If you include the design of the phone, it gets a 7.3 out of 10. However, if you could care less about the design like me, it's a great 8.1 out of 10. And this is compared to flagship phones. But compared to many phones in the $89 to $150 price range, this is the best option you can get. A great camera loaded with features, water resistance, at a good price, what's not to love? The only huge flaw this phone has is a lack of internal storage, but that really only applies when you're downloading apps. However, as I said before, if I'm going to upgrade my phone, I'm getting a phone with at least 64 gigabytes of internal storage, preferably a Samsung Galaxy S8 or better yet an S9. But for now, I'm happy with the Galaxy S5, and if you're looking for a great phone at a great price, this is easily your best bet. Anyways, thanks for watching, and keep calm and dada on.